I was 25 years old at that time. My name is Jaden. Lila, a woman 2 years younger than me, worked at the company where I was working at the time. Lila was a new employee who had recently graduated from university and knew nothing about the workplace. I was assigned to be her trainer. However, this was only my second year working for the company. Because no new employees had entered the company last year, I was the most recent hire until recently. If I had gotten used to my work, but it was quite difficult to teach others. I couldn't teach her well and was quite worried about training her. On top of that, Lila was very cocky. She listened to me silently for the first week, but as she got used to me, she began to pick on me, despite the fact that I was her senior.
Anyway, Jaden, you're really good at teaching today. I like the way you taught me just now.
She would make fun of me daily. I am not an angry person by nature, so when my younger colleague said stuff like this to me, I just laughed it off. Lila was very good at remembering things. Compared to me, who did not have many friends during my school days, I could see that she had a cheerful and popular disposition because of her personality. Lila was well liked in the company, even though she was cocky. But to be honest, I didn't get along well with Lila, who had a knack for getting things done.
Jaden, what do you say we go out for dinner after this?
So many times, we would work late on projects that were to be completed the next day, and we would work alone at the office. Each time, Lila would ask me out like this. I always refused with a lame reason like that. No thanks, I'm tired today. I suppose a bright girl like Lila didn't mind going out for a drink with her boss, even if it was at random, but I didn't like going out to eat with coworkers since it was too exhausting for me. And it was even more so with Lila. But then a drinking party was held at the company. Since everyone was almost forced to attend as expected, I had no choice but to go. I was eating steak alone while my colleagues were having fun. I was sitting there dazed when something unexpected happened.
Jaden, you haven't been drinking at all.
Layla sat down next to me. Oh my god! Layla, who was already tipsy, was messing with me with an orange cocktail in her hand. She was constantly chatty, so I assumed she was quite bothersome when she was drunk. I was definitely making looks about how much I didn't want her to be there, but Layla didn't seem to mind and kept talking next to me.
Jaden, don't you have a girlfriend or something?
There it was. Girls always want to talk about this kind of thing. I didn't want to talk about it since I didn't want to go into trouble.
Jaden's girlfriend is very pretty and nice. You two make a good couple.
I've only talked about such things with my colleagues. That must imply that one of my colleagues had informed my senior colleague.
Oh, so you have a girlfriend, huh? What is she like?
She's a college friend of mine. We met about a year ago and ended up going on a date.
But really? How about you then?
Layla sighed deeply. I have a date too. That was her answer. Her expression appeared to be far from her normal, joyful self. I was curious why she looked like that and was about to ask her when a call came into Layla's cell phone and she left, and she stormed off. I was thinking about it while taking a break from the chat. Then,
Could that be a call from her boyfriend?
my senior colleague, who's sitting in front of me, spoke to me. I tried to ignore it because I wasn't interested. But then I heard something I couldn't ignore. I heard that Lila's boyfriend is possessive, and I heard that he's violent.
The what?
I couldn't ignore her comment no matter how much I disliked my junior coworker. I asked, "How do you know that?" She replied, "In fact, when Lila was a student, my sister worked with her at her part. I'm Jab, and my sister told me about it." I couldn't believe that someone as goofy and cocky as Lila was going through such pain. I hadn't seen any proof, so I left the drinking party with a nagging doubt. After the party was over, Lila was but the same as usual. She still made fun of me and smiled at me. I couldn't believe that someone was abusing her. Just my senior colleague's sister, I assumed, had made a mistake. There was no such behavior, despite the fact that I was constantly watching Lila while I was at work. I began to reach that conclusion when I was able to leave the office on time one day, which was unusual for me. When I arrived at the station, I realized I had forgotten my wallet at the office, so I returned. Then I noticed the lights were turned on, so I went to see if anyone was working extra hours, and to my surprise, Lila was the only one left. I told her I forgot my wallet and came back. Lila replied, "Jaden, you are really goofy." She started to mock me. I asked her, "And what were you doing?" When I asked her to change the subject, just looked at me and said, "Reviewing." I hadn't heard that word since I was a student or in elementary school. I didn't know what she was talking about, so I went to look at Lila's desk. On her desk, I found a small notepad with words written all over it. It was the notepad that Lila always carried in her hand. When I turned my eyes to the computer, I saw that it was displaying the work related to the contents of the note.
I'm not very smart, so I can't remember everything at once. I'm reviewing what my senior colleagues have taught me.
That the number of notepads scattered around the desk proved she wasn't lying. I understood. Layla didn't have natural talent for her career. She had to work hard to improve. Nonetheless, I got the idea she was bragging about her abilities to be capable. I suddenly felt sorry for Layla.
Oh, did you think I was cute and admirable?
I'm still a little annoyed at Layla for laughing and saying such a thing.
Of course not.
I said in anger. Then Layla's usual smile disappeared.
Hold on a second. I was just kidding. I'm sorry.
I apologized, believing I'd damaged her feelings, but her look remained unchanged. Did I say such a terrible thing? I assumed she was to blame for her irritating remarks to me.
I'm not cute, yeah.
Actually, I've heard words I never thought would come out of Layla's mouth. I thought she was joking again, but I gradually realized that she was not.
My boyfriend always tells me I'm not cute, so when I try to act girly, he asks if I'm trying to attract guys' attention. However, when I try to act manly here, like he accuses me of mocking him. I'm so bad at everything I do. I'm the kind of person who deserves to be punched and kicked because only people like that would love me.
Layla spoke calmly, like if something inside her had cracked. She wasn't herself, and the truth was that she was being abused. Many things were going through my mind, and I couldn't say anything.
They say that, attracts, the fact that I have a lousy boyfriend who commits violence means that I am a lousy person too.
Layla's remarks rang through the quiet office where only the two of us were there. I wanted to say something to her, but I couldn't think of anything. Layla's remarks echoed through the quiet office where only the two of us were present. I wanted to say something to her, but I couldn't think of anything. Dependence. Even though others may regard it as a relationship that should be ended, according to what I've heard, the person in question feels needed and wanted, thus they can't break up. I was afraid that because I wasn't a participant in the relationship, everything I said would come across as flimsy, so I didn't say anything.
She laughed and said, well, I'm just kidding.
She laughed and started to clean up her desk.
Oh,
Affectionate, the teaming, I felt somewhat relieved at her words, but I soon realized that she was lying. Layla's hands trembled as she placed the note aside. I stopped thinking about it. I decided to tell her what came to mind. That's what I decided.
once you asked me for help, you told me, because you wanted me to help you, right? Stop pretending you don't see it and even fooling yourself.
But when I said that, Layla suddenly stopped. Then she turned her head down.
I'm pretending that I'm not seeing it.
She asked me,
But that's right, isn't it? Who believes you can change this current situation by suppressing your emotions? You're the only one who thinks that only those people love you, right? There are many people who like you without you having to look for them.
I couldn't see Layla's expression, so I couldn't tell what she was thinking. What if I was wrong? I was worried about that, but at that moment, I was more worried about Layla.
Are you one of them?
Of course, when I said that everyone liked her, I meant exactly that. I was referring to my coworkers, so it was fine to be comprehended that way, but I was perplexed when she questioned me that way.
Well, yeah, I liked you.
Even Layla knew what I was saying. As a senior colleague, this was not the time to be shy. I said that so that she wouldn't realize how nervous I was. It was also true that I had disliked Lila not long ago, but recently I had changed my opinion of her. Interacting with Lila, who was cheerful, had become routine. As a junior colleague, I felt she was cute since she spoke to me with a smile while mocking me. After watching her for a long time, I began to notice many good things about Lila. Wait, hold on a second. Felt that something was wrong. Thinking back, I realized I had been staring at Lila whenever I came into the office recently. Oh wait, it can't be true. First of all, I had a girlfriend, and I had no intention of cheating on her in the slightest. But I realized my true feelings. I tried to cover up my actual feelings, but I was the one who just encouraged her not to cover up her feelings. Thank you very much, Jaden. You are so sweet.
Leela smiled again with a slightly different smile and left the office. I just stood there and couldn't get Lila's face out of my mind.
I couldn't get Lila out of my mind since then. Even when I was in a relationship with my girlfriend, I remembered Lila's face, and my girlfriend told me that I suddenly became cold, even though I did not mean to do so. I began to feel guilty. It wasn't what I had planned. I loved spending time with her because she was quite like me, and we shared common hobbies, but I couldn't feel that way anymore. I said goodbye to her. Like Sakiria, I realized that giving her a proper response was the last thing I could do for her as she cried and asked why. I had fallen in love with Lila, whom I had disliked so much. Lila was still treating me the same after that day. I didn't know what to do. Lila had a boyfriend, and I didn't want to upset him by making a pass at her. First of all, it would be awkward at work if I confessed my feelings to her and she rejected me. After about a year of not being able to express my sentiments to her, I was informed that I would be then transferred overseas for a year. After a year of not being able to express my sentiments, I learned that I would be transferred overseas for a year. It was a tremendous honor and one I had aimed for since joining the company. My only regret was that I wouldn't be able to see Layla. But I was still not brave enough to confess my feelings to Layla. I was left with the same relationship I had when I first met her, a cocky junior and an unreliable senior. And I had to depart for an overseas assignment. On the day of departure, I went to the airport alone. But when I arrived at the airport lobby, I saw Layla.
Huh? What are you doing there?
I was surprised and said what came to my mind. Well, can't I be here?
That's why I was rather happy. I mean, I was truly happy. But even at this moment, I couldn't be honest, and I could only offer these displeasing words. Others be boring for me, because there won't be anyone to mess with now that you're gone.
I'll miss you too, since there won't be any cocky juniors like you over there. I
had to say such a thing till the end. I was embarrassed that I couldn't thank her for coming to see me. Despite these feelings, the time for my flight was ticking away.
Well then, as you go.
Have a safe trip.
Ella said to me with her usual bright smile. The moment I saw her smile, I felt an overwhelming sense of love for her. I couldn't imagine not being able to see this smile. I wondered if she had broken up with her date. I wondered if she was not having a hard time. Even though she was so close to me, there were still many things I didn't know about her, but I felt compelled to protect her.
Later, I realized I had finally discovered my true feelings, which had been hidden deep within me. I couldn't stop myself and I said, "I love you." Layla rolled her eyes.
Trust is willing. If you feel the same way a year from now, I want you to come back here and wait for me.
After saying so, I felt uncomfortable and departed without hearing Lila's reply, which was rolling her eyes in astonishment. But the more time passed, the more I wondered why I said that. I experienced moments of self-loathing, wondering if I had actually turned her off, or if she had assumed I watched too many TV shows based on my actions. But time flew, and a year soon passed as I worked hard at my job overseas. And finally, the day came for me to return home. You see, I arrived at the appointed place, but there was no one there. I knew it. I was embarrassed for expecting her to be there. When I was about to head home alone, thinking that, I heard a familiar voice from behind me.
Hey, stop twirling.
I turned around and there was Layla. Her shoulder-length bob had grown to her collarbone, and she appeared to have matured. I felt myself surprisingly nervous. I was unable to say anything due to a variety of emotions. Layla was still laughing and teasing me about my crying. I'd come to believe that even that made me happy, and I'd grown fully addicted to Layla.
He thought it wouldn't come, right?
Maybe I fell in love with you before you fell in love with me, Layla said with a mischievous smile. That's why when you told me that day, I decided to come here today. Layla's smile as she said that was exactly the same smile I had loved that day. Tears welled up in my eyes as I felt relieved that she had returned and that my feelings had been understood. Layla appeared to have come to grips with her sentiments after I left, and she informed her boyfriend that she was leaving him. She appeared to believe what I had previously told her, that many people adored her. She asked her friend for help and was able to talk things out amicably. Layla had repeatedly expressed gratitude for the words I had squeaked out for her. I too am saved every day by Layla's cheerfulness and straightforwardness. It's as if my previous persona as a subservient person no longer exists, and I feel that I can also be cheerful. We're spending happy days together. That day, Layla had the courage to tell me about herself. And I happened to return to the office to pick up something I had forgotten. We started working at the same place from the beginning. All of these coincidences have led us to where we are today. I've been hurt and I've hurt her, and we've been through a lot to get here. However, I am convinced that I want to make Layla happy. 3 years have passed since then, and today is our wedding day. And we will become husband and wife.